So welcome everybody to group coaching, as I'm also going to share my screen this time before I start talking about the presentation. Can you all see that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Again, for people that it's the first time, this is a safe place. We can share ideas with each other. I'm not going to be the only expert. We're all experts in our own business, but it's a positive, supportive, honest, vulnerable, safe, confidential place. So one thing I wanted to ask is, I'm publishing videos of the coaching, and are you guys okay with sharing the laser coaching that comes after the presentation? Because sometimes I guess if you're okay with it, just thumbs up. And if you guys ever bring up something sensitive or confidential and you want me to remove it from the video, just please let me know. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. I just wanted to do that. Now I have the tip of the day. There are two rules in life. The first rule is don't quit. And the little graphic is awesome here. It's don't quit, and then they selected the words do it out of that. And then the second rule in life is always remember rule number one. And I've seen this time and time again. The do it actually goes with my new Nike slogan, which is just start it rather than just do it, because so many things seem insurmountable, more than we can handle. But if we start it and we just take things in chunks, especially if we're feeling unmotivated or during difficult times, this can be really helpful. So that's the tip of the day. And then today's talk, last time we went through corporate culture. We went through mission, vision, values, and purpose. And I want to congratulate Ken Guy, because he sent me pages of mission, vision, values, and purpose, and did a fantastic job with it. And I'm reviewing that for him. Ken, I haven't had a chance to review the whole document.
Oh, it's okay. It was a lot of pages.
Yeah. And then, we worked out a fee for the reviewing time. That's fair for both of us. So I'll get that information back to you, but please don't skip over that homework if you haven't done that. And you can do it in bits and pieces. I know we're all busy and have plenty to do, but that just sets a solid foundation. So we're going to continue to build on that. We've talked about summative evaluation in previous coaching. We've talked about SMART goals. And then we talked about corporate culture. Today, we're going to talk about revenue modeling. And for people that don't like math, I'm going to make it as easy as possible. For Brett, who's a rocket scientist, he can handle it, no problem. And we're also going to talk about action planning. And I like to call it backwards action planning, and you'll see why. So revenue modeling, see the simple formula to the right? Revenue modeling is that, what was that?
That's insane.
That's what
the answer
most people,
is two.
I think you're right, Ken. This is what most people think about when they think about pro forma or financial models or revenue modeling, but we're going to make it much simpler than that. So the first thing you want to start with is, what's your goal? How much money do you want to make this year? We've talked about specific, measurable, time-based, and thrilling. And I'm going to use an example. I honestly think, for many of us that live in California, if we're going to have our own business and go through the trials and tribulations of having a business and the stress and the adventures and getting out of our comfort zone and courageous consistency that it takes to survive and thrive, we might as well make $10,000 a month. But that doesn't mean it has to be your initial goal. So I recommend starting with covering your expenses. So if your expenses are $3,000 a month, revenue model $3,000 a month if you're not there yet, right? So that's a good starting place for most entrepreneurs. And then there's, okay, when are we going to break that break even and make a profit and then thrive? So you can have 3 different goals over 3 different time periods, and you can revenue model each of those. And again, we're going to keep this really simple. I'm going to go through an example. Any questions or suggestions so far?
Nope.
And the value of doing this is without knowing how much money you want to make, it's really hard to break it down into a revenue model. And then when you break down a revenue model, or you're trying to create an action plan and you don't know how much money you want to make, how many customers you need at what price, then it's really tough to create an action plan that'll help you get where you're going. So we're working backwards from the goal, the financial goal. Doesn't mean that money is the all important thing. As we all know, we like to help people and we want to create results for them. All right, so here's a revenue model, and this has a much simpler mathematical formula. It really can be this simple. So don't overthink it. If you have 10 different products, just revenue model for your 3 top ones or services. You don't have to include everything, and it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. It can all be round numbers and best estimates. And then as once you do your revenue model, you can go back and fill in the blanks with real data. So let's say I have a goal of $12,000 a month. And so that breaks down into $2,500 a week, $500 per workday, so the 5 work days per week, and then $125 an hour. Now, most of you, if you're super good at math, you might have divided the $500 by 8 hours. Notice that I divided it by 4 hours, because it's really difficult as an entrepreneur to lead your team, to market, to take care of, bookkeeping or whatever else you're doing, and do more than 4 hours a day of actual service. So there's 5 days a week and 4 hours a day is how I broke that down. And let's say your goal is $5,000 a month, then that would be $1,250 a week, $250 a workday, and then that would break down to like $62.50 an hour. So the way I did it for my business is, if I do 2 websites at $2,500, that would be $5,000. So I'm halfway to my goal. Then I'm like, okay, I gotta make some money in other ways. How about one-on-one coaching? $300 a session times 10 sessions, and it could be one client doing weekly sessions. It could be 10 clients doing monthly sessions. Don't worry about the details. So there's another $3,000. And then let's say I get 70 people in the group coaching at $30 a month. That's $2,100. So I have a $10,100. So this is how simply you can break this down. But I love having, a daily tally. Like, I need to target 500 a day, billable hours. And let's say I make I don't know, $5,000 in the first week. Then, maybe I can take vacation the next week. So it's okay. At least you have your yardstick, right? Any questions on this? And I want to make an extra notation about this group coaching. This is something that provides recurring income, and that's very important for all of us to build into our businesses. Whether it's selling books or selling information products or subscription systems, memberships. Stacy, you sell signs. You're like, how the heck can I have some kind of recurring income? Well, maybe every other month you clean people's signs because they get dusty and dirty and they're not as bright, so you don't do it, but somebody on your team does it, right? So we can all think of some type of residual income.
Well, I like the math of just assuming you're
working 4 hours a day, because I wouldn't have thought of that at first, but you're right. You can't, you have your time doing other things. So
Right. We're the CEOs of our company, even if we don't have team yet. We still, and even when you do have team, you need to set them up for success, train them, reward them, motivate them. And then there's, getting new leads, converting them to clients, doing intakes. There's things that are our highest and best use of our time.
it's
So
all
that's where the other 4 hours goes.
the overhead, the business development, the marketing, right? So
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
you're not getting paid for that by somebody else, right? But it has to
Right.
get done.
Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Yeah.
All right, so the next step is taking, okay, now we have this, probably going to need some clients. So that brings us to action planning. And again, you work backwards from your goal. So in the last slide, we have the goal right here, and built into the revenue model is the number of clients I need. So how many paying customers do I need? And you want to have a good idea of what your conversion ratio is. So if you get 10 leads and you sell to 3, then your conversion ratio is 30%. And the quality of leads should improve over time as your marketing gets better and as your sales skills get better. So it's really good to track your conversion ratio. And then what are the actions it's going to take to get leads? When do you want to complete those actions? And who can help you with it? Who can you either hire or delegate to your team? Those are all key elements from a business development standpoint, action plan. And that's where a lot of us are at. We want more business. Any questions here? No? All right. So I'm not going to go into deep technical details on getting leads, but I'm just going to plant the seeds for future presentations where we're going to dive into a lot of great details on tactics, on copywriting, on really having a comprehensive marketing program that's highly effective. But to start, the idea is you want a few strategies and you want a few tactics per strategy. So from a marketing perspective, a strategy would be something like networking. So it's a bucket of marketing tactics. Another strategy might be online marketing. So those are strategies. And then tactics are measurable specific action items. So a tactic under networking strategy would be joining a BNI group and showing up and doing one-on-ones and giving referrals. Another tactic under networking strategy would be joining the chamber and going to 2 mixers per month. So see how they're specific actionable items and they're date-based and so on. So I either recommend someone have 3 or 4 strategies with 3 or 4 tactics under each strategy, which gives you 9 to 12 marketing tactics that you're throwing out there. I put the fishing lure here. That's the bait. So, the commercial fishermen, they have like, I don't know how many, 6, 12 lines out in the water, and they're trying different bait and different depths and stuff like that. So that's the whole idea behind strategies and tactics. And another way of looking at that is have 5 offline tactics, 5 online tactics. You don't have to implement them all at once initially, but over time, you want to have as many methods of getting the word out there or making yourself easy to find for your target market. So the powerful question that I like to use with target market and tactics for that matter is, where does your target market hang out? What do they read? What websites do they go to? What TV shows do they watch? How can how can you make it as easy as possible for your target market to find you? And then how can you get your opportunity, your message exactly to your target market? And again, targeted tactics. So TV, radio, billboards, those are shotgun methods. Maybe there's high traffic, but very low specificity and high cost. So as entrepreneurs, we want magic bullet marketing that goes right to the right people. And then we want to have the right bait. And we haven't talked a lot about this, but the right bait would be your marketing copy, your infomercial, your homepage text. And a model that I use often is grab their attention, number one. Two, compassionately relate to the problem that you can help them solve. Three, tell them what's in it for them. And four, give them a clear, non-threatening call to action for them to get started with you. So that's the right bait. You're using the right words. It can, you're inviting people to either give you a call or opt in to read an ebook, or, have free coaching or a website analysis. So how can you get to know them better? How can they feel safe reaching out to you? People have they need a business sign, that's pretty obvious. They're going to call, they're going to say what they want, and they're going to, want to know what the price is. But Stacy would want, in her messaging, she'd want to stand out from the crowd, because there's several sign companies online and in this town. So people have options. So we want to stand out from the crowd. And that's the right bait. You want it, clean, shiny, the right color, the right size. Anything anybody wants to add to this, or questions?
Yeah, Jim, those last four things that you said about reaching out and the right bait, I was hoping to write those down, but I couldn't write fast enough. So
The copywriting
repeat
model,
those?
the 4 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so grab their attention, build curiosity. Number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, compassionately relate to the problem or challenge that you can help them solve, so they know they're in the right place, right? And I say compassionately because you're not going to say, hey, you're kind of fat, you need to lose weight, right? You want them to know that you're sensitive and caring.
I'm just adding just a quick tip for some of the other participants here. So I pulled up the agenda format that he sent us after the last meeting. And so I'm just typing in notes under each of the subjects, and that's going to be my approach going forward. So
Great
follow
idea.
along his agenda.
Wonderful.
And if any of you didn't get that or couldn't find the attachment, let me know. Just email me and I'll send it to you. Thank you, Stacy. That's a great idea.
You're welcome.
So, and then number 3, Ken, and everybody else, is what's in it for them? And one thing I didn't mention, and I'm glad you're having me go through it again, is what's in it for them has 3 elements: results, benefits, and emotions. So a result might be they get more leads. What would the benefit be? Well, they would make more money. They would gain profitability in their business. They would be able to pay their bills, maybe put some more money towards retirement or their travel fund or kids' college. And then so there's results, then there's benefits, which we've covered, and then emotions. And so they might feel happy. They might feel proud of growing their business, excited that they're figuring out marketing. And then step number 4 is a non-threatening, clear call to action. So call today for a free website analysis. So I love that copywriting mile. It works for everything. It could be a flyer, it could be a homepage, it could be an infomercial. It doesn't have to be really long and complicated.
Thanks for reviewing those.
Yeah, sure. Great question.
Stacy, the only problem with my way of approaching, I got to read this stuff when I'm done because I'm not typing it.
That would be my problem too. I'd be like,
I'll accept your
right
notes.
there.
I'll accept your notes.
Well, writing is a great way to reinforce knowledge, so that works well. Writing, typing. All right. Well, that ends the presentation portion of today. And now, any specific questions anybody has? Areas you're stuck, need help prioritizing?
Well, Jim, I have more of a comment. You had, give me a nod there about the work I did on the corporate culture. I can't tell you what a fantastic exercise that was. It was really made me clarify some things that I'd already been thinking about, but doing it more in a tactical way. And so I kind of step back and say, well, if I have the foundation, it's going to help me get to the more tactical aspects of what I'm doing. But it really helps solidify a lot of what I'm doing to begin with.
And can you give a couple of specific examples?
Well, I would say for a vision, it was kind of where do I really want to take this? Where do I really want to go with it? What's my end objective? So for me, it's trying to retire in 3 years with a residual income that will support me. Another vision was I've got a young daughter, actually, she's only 22, that graduated from college at Chapman University, Southern California, in advertising and PR.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking this might be a great opportunity to bring her into the business, and at some point, hopefully within a year, that she could build upon as a career if she so desires. So it could be a business where I have a successor. And it caused me to think about things in a way I hadn't thought about. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a great example. It's just really helpful to have specific examples rather than general.
Right.
This is great. Just to inspire everybody, all of us, to do that and keep it updated. And one thing you said that caught my attention was, what do I really want?
Yeah.
Like, there's things that our parents tell us we should do. There's things that culturally we think we should do. Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she was like, I really want to spend more time with my child, and I want to have a business where I make, good money, but I don't have to work super hard. And I said, that's okay. That's what you really want. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we're coming from the heart, we're serving people. But there's ways of making money without working super hard, team, leverage, products, books, etc. And so this really that's what the vision is about. And then just as a clarity, retiring in 3 years and making X amount of dollars, that's a great mission. That's a great either milestone or big, hairy, audacious goal to retire in three years. That's great. So again, congratulations and thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
So Jim, since our last meeting, I know I think I reported in the last meeting that I bought the book Traction, and I actually started reading it. and not only did I read it, but I like Ken, spent a lot of time over the past weekend going through using their model and working through mission, vision, values. I already had some of the values, but I never really had my mission fully defined, the purpose fully defined. And I had trouble thinking about like, how do I do this? What's the sign business? What's our real purpose? And so I completed those documents. I was going to try to bring it up so I could share, but for some reason my desktop, it's not connecting to the cloud, so I can't get to it. So I'm trying to do it from my laptop. I think I may, but if I can get to it, I'll share that information. But it was a great exercise. It was really worth the time spent to try to bring more focus to what I'm doing and just motivate myself about why I'm doing what I'm doing and being able to kind of communicate that out. Because I think, once you do that, especially for me, I have one external employee and then I'm bringing in my family, but to try to get everybody focused around that goal and that whole purpose is going to be just crucial as we grow.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing between the lines is by, reading Traction and really expanding on your corporate culture, it's bringing you motivation and it's bringing more meaning into the business. It's not about just creating signs. It's
Right.
about, really portraying the magic, what's unique, special, different, and better about a business, and making them shine, making them be visible, bringing in clients. There's, again, the what's in it for them, what's unique and special about your business starts with the mission, the vision, the values, and the purpose. Nice.
I hope I can get to it as soon as my laptop gets on.
All right. Anybody have any specific marketing questions? Yeah, Simone.
When you talk about numbers and stuff and that, so I've done pretty much everything except for the mission. That's the only one that I'm mentally stuck on, so I'm still working on that. My vision ended up being a story, but when you're talking about calculating numbers and stuff and that, where do you think that should fit into starting the business? Should that be right at the beginning? Should that be like once you've got your mission, vision? Like, where do you see that plugging in?
So that's a great question, because it kind of squeezes in the spaces. So some people that have a challenge with coming up with financial goals or numbers, maybe money isn't really meaningful to them. It doesn't move them or stir them. And some people it does. So there's a big why, like, why do you want to help people? How do you want to help people? What are your gifts? There's that portion of the why, but there's also, you notice I didn't complete the answer. That's why this question is so beautiful, to start with your current expenses. But what a lot of people do is they don't write down their true dreams. And so if you want to, I know you love your nieces and nephews. Maybe you want to support their college, or maybe you want to give to charities. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to be set up for retirement. You can put dollar amounts on all those things, or maybe you want to buy a house. So how much would the down payment be? How much would you need to make per month to buy a house? For kids' college, how old are your kids? How many years do you have to save, and how much do you have to save? That puts in a monthly figure. So, when you start doing that, whether it's, and what kind of insurance do you need? When you have your own business, you have medical insurance, you have workers' compensation, there's, chief employee insurance. So there's a lot of expenses that would be lovely to cover and really sleep well at night. So what is it that you really want for future costs? What would it cost to have an office? And if you wanted to expand your business to 10 people, what would that cost? What kind of systems would you need? Would you need servers and IT people? So future costs, dream costs, fun costs can all go into the monetary goals. And then you have meaning behind that. And you don't have to tackle everything at once. When I years ago, I was struggling financially, and I just took a leap of faith and put $100 a month into an account with a financial planner. And he was nice enough to entertain my a bit of money, but that account's at like $11,000 now. So, and as you make more money, you can use your money rules and increase the amount that goes towards college. So it doesn't have to be linear and overwhelming initially. But that's a big factor in setting our goals. And then the money actually means something. It's not just an empty number, and striving for an empty number is exhausting.
Yeah, me, it's making sure the grandkids are staying in sports. That's my big why right now. So
yep.
The side funds. And it's exactly
That's
like
what
you said.
I've always told my nieces and nephews. If there's any kind of sport activity that they feel they can't afford, I'll cover it. I love sports. So that's fantastic to have that motivating nugget for you.
Right.
And there's so many life lessons with sports, and just I know that lights up your heart. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Grandkids. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Dennis, you look like you're thinking about something.
Oh, you're on mute.
I had done the paperwork, and when I sent it to you, it didn't go, and I lost it. So now I get to do it over again. But my whole problem has never been caring about the money. It's helping the people. And so being able to tie the goal into, by seeing this many clients, I'm helping this many people. And that's my heart.
Okay.
And then, bringing it also down to, I'm actually in the process of looking for a new car right now. And it's like, okay, what's that monthly payment going to be? And I need to know I'm covering that. So things like that.
I think, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but back when I had a career, initially, I think I was making so little, this was in the Bay Area, that I was in negative cash flow. And it took a while. It took years to get raises and to be making enough to live in the Bay Area. And then I got to a point in my career, maybe 5-7 years down the road, where my bills were $2,000 less than what I brought home. And there was just this like feeling of peace and relief for me when I was in that financial position. So if there's an emotional element that a financial profitability factor will give to you, then put that in your goal. If your bills are $4,000 a month, then setting a goal of $5,000 a month gives you an extra $1,000. So if something breaks down on your car, you don't just stress out. You can put some money into a savings account. If you are, all of a sudden you're like, wow, this stuff I'm learning from Coach Jim is amazing. I'm getting too many clients. I need an assistant. You need to be able to afford that. And so having a cushion is such a nice way to live life and do business. Brett, any ideas, questions?
I just, I would love to be in the state where I can say, what would I do if money were no option?
Perfect.
Constraint. Right.
Yeah, and what number would do that?
For me, it's about $350K a year. So, and
that's I'm imagining that's not just your personal and family expenses and future costs.
Actually, but
making a difference.
I do want to join your 10,000 a month club. That's my first goal. So
Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah. And then, breaking down, once you make 10, then you're like, okay, well, let's go for 15 and then 20 and then 30. And then 30
Right.
equates to 360. So
right.
that's a great way to do it. Anybody feeling either frustrated or stuck or overwhelmed with too many things to do? Because oftentimes prioritization is really helpful. Yeah, Stacy.
Way too many things to do.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm just kind of tackling a lot of different things right now. Obviously, trying to keep quotes getting done, because you got to bring the money in. Trying to make sure that I can tackle these things like the mission, vision, purpose to build that structure and culture and keep that piece going. Trying to implement new offerings for the promotional goods and make sure that that keeps going forward. And tackling just really the tasks like the certification stuff to make sure that we set ourselves up for growth, right? Because that's one of the things that I really need to be able to do. So definitely a lot on my plate.
So the culture, while it's very important, it's not an emergency to get it done now. So let's use that as an example. It's very important and it's building a foundation on a house, but you already have a house, right? So there's going to be future benefit and value. So I think it's really important, and it's not urgent. So it could be taken care of by just doing an hour a week and just put that on your calendar. And in 1 month, it would be pretty badass. So that's how I might look at that rather than, I need to spend 4 hours, 6 hours on that. And then it probably will never get done. So breaking that up into chunks would be good. When I think about the promotional items, I'm really excited because I want to order some notepads and pens for my clients and have it branded, and I want to do it with your business. But I think to help, as a group, to help with prioritization and ways of thinking about stuff like this, I would look at what's the demand, what's the competition, what's the profitability, not just per item or per batch, but how much time does it take? How much team does it take? So I would do a quick analysis and say, which, is it worth my time or should I put this off till later? Have you taken a look at that analysis?
You mean for the promotional area?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've looked at that. And so, and I think that's part of my, I view it more for me as kind of like it's a defensive strategy because, on the one hand, you've got people who, like you, want those branded items. They're not necessarily going to be some of the bigger orders. They have relatively small margins, things like that. But the work that goes into it for a particular order would take in essentially the same amount of time, potentially, as it does for a sign order, which may have bigger margins. It may not have bigger margins. My margins for signage is all over the place, depending upon the type of the sign that it is.
Okay.
But I still think it's important for me, right? Because I believe that it's an easier item to sell than a sign, than a larger, more expensive sign. And so I'm looking at as a strategy to create more consistent cash flow for me. That's really why I want to have that there.
So it's really building out your funnel, and the low margin, low dollar profit, relatively higher number of hours. You can also look at that as a marketing expense, because bringing people in with promotional, and then they need signs and filling in the gaps where income isn't, and then creating more residual income, getting upsells, side sells to bigger corporations. Yeah, it's not easy. But the other thing that reminds me of is we should all know what our dollar margin and what our percent margin is for each of our offerings. And that way we tailor our marketing towards getting the right customers and the right jobs. And we should know, like in auto repair, when they sell an oil change, they know they're not making any money. But they do an inspection, and you may not do an inspection, but you might ask other questions while you're doing promotional items to be able to upsell or side sell other things and build the relationship, and obviously gather their contact information. So hopefully these are helpful considerations in what do you market, who do you market to, but also what actions do you take and how do you prioritize your actions. And then certifications always, like a lot of people are really comfortable with education and certifications. And so rather than doing scary business development things, they do certifications. So I just encourage people to, look at do I really need this to help people? Or is it like an insecurity thing? I'm not pointing at you, I'm speaking in general.
Well, for me, the certifications will open up opportunities that I don't really see quite as much of now. So it is definitely a growth opportunity.
Okay. And again, yeah, look at the profitability, look at the more we can do, high profit, higher volume, and get the bigger chunks of money for the same amount of work, the better for our quality of life and financial situation in business.
Yeah, and for me,
those are great examples.
Definitely anything that I can keep in-house as opposed to like putting the big sign on the wall. I hate those jobs. I do them because I get asked for them, but I hate those jobs.
And is there parts of that job that you hate that you can delegate?
No, it's not that I hate the doing the work itself. I hate the margins.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's where we're going to go in the group coaching is hopefully getting our marketing more and more and more effective so that you can turn away jobs or hire someone else or joint venture or refer those jobs. But yeah, no, it's tough until you get to a certain point in business. It's tough working for low margins. Unless it's really going to build to something recurring or bigger.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Those are great examples. Anything else on your plate that you're wondering about?
What happens if sometimes you're doing something that nobody else has ever done, so it's hard to come up with calculations or numbers of what the value is?
Can you give me a specific example?
Well, with McGrath, no one's ever done this. So I'm trying to calculate like what I should charge companies for, the posts, for the educating the consumer about their business, things like that. Because when it comes to when I'm selling my marketing, I know exactly how much a bus ad is. I know exactly how much I have to raise the cost in order to make a profit. But with what I'm doing now, it could be just mentally, but I'm having a hard time putting a dollar amount on it.
So yeah, the first thing is I would open up the paradigm of I'm doing something that no one has ever done before. And your idea is so creative and so brilliant. And just for everybody else on the call, Simone's dog is Mr. McGruff. And so she does posts and has conversations with Mr. McGruff talking about his mom and how does she make money? How does, and other like friend pets that he has, and how does their mom make money? So it's a really fun, cute way of promoting other people's businesses. And so people love pets. It's brilliantly done. It's creative. And so Simone, just open up to, people are doing this. They're just doing it in different ways. And really, what's the valuation? Like with newspapers, what's the circulation with magazines, with pay-per-click, what's the number of views, and how much is, I always go with what's the value to the client. And let's say I do search engine optimization for a client. The lifetime valuation of a client, like even a hairstylist, the lifetime valuation of a client is $2,000-3,000. So, we break that down into, okay, here's the cost of SEO. Here's how many leads we think we can get. Here's the lifetime valuation of a lead. And then say, okay, well, if conservatively, I think, you can make $3,000 a month, and I'm only going to charge you $500 a month. What do you think of that? So as long as they're getting value, they're getting return on investment, you can use all kinds of different models for your pricing. So there's a difference between, and the idea that you have, rather than just kind of like boring promotional stuff, you really hit on something unique that could go viral and have tremendous visibility. And there's a difference between unique marketing that's interesting and just kind of like marketing that everybody else is doing and it's boring.
Yeah, this past Sunday I didn't make a post specifically to see, and I couldn't believe how many emails and calls and texts I got. Where was McGruff Sunday night? And I was just like, what?
That is great.
So it was just a test to see,
Awesome.
what it, because some people scroll through and they don't really like or say anything. And it was like,
but they missed him.
Yeah, it was a really good. So I've been testing it Sunday night, Tuesday morning, and Thursday afternoon to see what the traffic flow is, and keeping stats on that before I do the other platforms. I want to test it.
Great.
So,
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Isn't that great?
So if any of you have an animal, please reach out to me. We can talk. McGruff can talk to them.
Well, I have a deer in my front yard right now.
That's okay too. Take a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, McGruff loves talking about deer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reindeer up in Canada, but still.
You really brought up something that kind of hit home for me relative to pricing, because I'm in the middle of that right now, and I don't want to. I'm trying to figure out how to price this, because I don't have a product. My marketing is service. So I guess my product cost is my time, as opposed, that's why I'm looking at it, as opposed to, having a cost associated with a product I'm manufacturing. So I'm wrestling right now with my pricing model, and I want it tied to the results I achieve for the client. So I'm looking at how do I charge a percentage of what benefit they're going to get out of my work. In other words, if their income rises $5,000 a month as a result of my work, how do I price that? Because I don't want to charge just an hourly rate or a flat rate. I want to participate in the result. So that's what I'm playing with. That's what I'm playing with right now.
Yeah,
that's a residual income.
Yeah, you want to know your revenue model, like that we talked about. You want to know how much, what's your value, and really, I don't like to do work under X dollars per hour.
Right.
But when I focused on how much money I want to make, my marketing and conversion sucked. And until I really converted to coming from the heart and making sure when, I get a lead it's not all about converting the lead to a sale. It's about
Right.
mutually interviewing each other and me making sure that I feel confident that I can help them get the results. I can't
Right.
promise, but there's monetary results, but there's also non-monetary results, you know, the benefits and emotions
Right.
that you can factor in.
Okay.
But I think that shift to really helping people, and then having your price sound cheap compared to the results they're going to get is really the key.
Yeah, that's.
And that takes
think I have
several
that number.
meetings and education.
Yeah, it's going to be some experimentation to see what is accepted.
Yeah, and
But
in
it
a
is
business
about,
like
it is about
yours,
building value.
yeah, in a business like yours, you can share the responsibility and share the rewards.
Right.
You know, if let's just say, you know, business coaching, with some really key strategies, a few key strategies, you might help someone make 5,000 extra a month. And then say, okay, well, I'm going to give you weekly coaching. I'm going to charge you $1,000 a month. And they're like, no, that's too much money. I can't afford it. And you say, okay, well, let's split the difference. And you could say, I'll only charge you 500 because I need to cover my expenses. And then let's do a revenue share on the increase in profits of 5% or 10%.
Right.
And so they only pay you extra money if they have a substantial win.
Right.
So there's all kinds of ways of doing that.
Okay.
And I always encourage people when they're first starting a business, and you have years of experience and expertise, but even starting at a low rate and really helping people is, you want to, you know, rebuild your confidence, you know, hone your skills. You're going to help people get results. That's going to cause word of mouth. It's going to get you 5-star reviews on Yelp and Google, testimonials for your website. So, you know, if you really start with helping people and getting results for them and focus on that, then it pays off in dividends, and you can raise your prices as you go. So you may not.
Well, that
need
is going to be my
revenue
focus
Yeah.
initially. Well, it's always going to be my focus because the helping and marketing
Yeah.
is what it's about, especially small business owners. Someone brought up a point about, no, I think it was you, Jen, that actually said relative to the things that the small business owner is facing doing their own marketing because they don't have an in-house corporate marketing. My model is to manage that process for them.
Yeah, it's like
That's
like
my
a
idea.
VP of marketing for a big corporation,
Right.
but affordable for a small company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
my concept.
Awesome. Any last minute questions?
No.
Thank you guys so much for being on the call. That was wonderful. And again, for future calls, any agenda items, things you want to send me in advance, I don't have to stick to that curriculum or agenda that I sent out. And I will weave and tailor to exactly what you guys need and want. So feedback is welcome. If you want to send ways I can improve things, I'm open to that. But really appreciate you all being here, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, good session.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jim.
Jim. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye.